Eavesdroppin! Great.
Okay.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Geordie. How are you?
I'm good. So quickly we see each other again because obviously our conversation about mediums and clairvoyance and etc. was needed extra.
Yeah, a few little extra droppings of...
Extra droppings. Welcome to Extra Droppings.
Yes, welcome everybody to Extra Droppings.
What did you say? Extra jockeys. As if you need any more jockeys in your life, Michelle. You're only 5 foot as it is.
Oh, I know. That's how it goes. So tell me, you thought we should do this little extra droppings because of dreams.
Well, while we were talking about mediums, etc., we ended up going off on a bit of a tangent, as we do, but we were actually going on a bit of a tangent about visions and dreams. Now, I wasn't sure if that fitted into the psychics and clairvoyance kind of basket.
Half the shit I said in that last episode didn't fit into that, but anyway.
So I thought it warranted, or quarantined, that's on my mind, I don't know why, warranted an extra droppings episode, which is just a little snippet of something more. Because I have a great story to tell, Michelle.
Well, off you go. I'd love to hear it.
Do you have one?
I've got a few.
Okay. Well, we'll try and keep it briefs. Okay, here we go. Well, you know what? Harking back to when we sent out the Facebook message to ask people if they had any stories for us.
Yep.
There was a lady from Australia who we'll call Lynn, and she sent me this. Actually, we won't call her Lynn. Let's just not call her anything. Maybe, Michelle, we're going to need you to go boop again.
Well, that was going to be one of my apologies. Apologies for ruining the flow of the last episode. But anyway, go.
Okay.
Go.
Well, anyway, this is from a lady called X, we'll call her. 25 years ago, a close friend of mine called Sam was missing for 3 months. During that time, I kept having dreams where she came to me saying things like, "You need to find me, I'm rotting."
What?
I know.
The fuck? Oh, my God.
That's a scary dream in itself, right?
Yeah, but I'm rotting?
Mm-hmm.
I feel creeped out.
Well, don't forget, what did she say? She said her friend Sam was missing.
Oh.
So it may have been on her mind, perhaps something's happened to her and she's fallen down a cliff, jogging or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm rotting. What? Oh, my God. Anyway, continue.
But you'd think when you woke up from that dream that you just think, oh, this is where my mind has gone because I'm worried about my friend and no one knows where she is. And
well, maybe, anyway. But that's dark. That's really dark.
I'd see pictures of her. This is in her dream. I'd see pictures of her in her debutante gown with her throat slit like a red line around her neck. Let's just talk about debutantes quickly. I know that's a shocking image, but debutantes in rural Australia and, the smaller towns of Australia, I'm not sure about the cities so much, but when you turn is it 16 or 17? Oh, you probably didn't have it in Canberra, but where I grew up in coastal New South Wales, it was all the rage. When you got to a certain age, you had to ask a boy to be your debutante date, Debs.
At the Deb Ball. I remember the Deb Ball. But also...
You do it at the RSL club, the Soldiers Club, and you'd have to go under a pair of swords wearing a white gown and get your picture taken. It would be in the paper every year. I didn't do it because, as you know, I left home at 16, so I missed that one. But I wouldn't have ever done it anyway because that was my cure stage where I had black spiky hair and no boys would talk to me.
But is that the same...
Apart from to spit on me.
Oh, God. No.
It was great fun.
But is that the same as in rural Australia where you have those parties where they get the sheep shearing?
No, that's a B&S ball.
Oh, a B&S, that's what I'm thinking.
That's for grown-ups. That's a grown-ups meat market.
Oh, sorry.
No, this is a bit more... my parents did the debutante ball.
Okay. Oh, so this
was
a
very
old-fashioned
thing.
A bit posh.
No, it's not posh at all because maybe it is posh, but my parents weren't from money. But when I moved to London... I worked for Mulberry. I'll just say it. I worked for Mulberry for many, many years, and we used to be in conjunction with the debutantes and put on a ball. No, not a ball. We'd put all the debutantes that were that year, and this is proper high society debutantes that would be in Hello magazine and whatnot
Tatler.
With their mothers. Tatler. They would come and model for us every year for something that we did at the Savoy, and we used to work very closely with those Debs.
Well, I don't think these Debs are the same.
No,
but anyway,
not at all.
oh God! So look, back to X and this story because I'm quite shocked already.
So she'd have images of her in her dreams, of her in her debutante gown with her throat slit like a red line around her neck. Other dreams would be of her trying to give me her mum's phone number and the view from the boot of a rusty red car parked amongst bushland.
Fuck.
A house in the distance with a big veranda. So very, very visual images in her dreams.
And very specific too. A red car, a veranda.
Meanwhile, her friend is missing. So this poor, my lady here, X, she must be, must have been awful.
She must be beside herself. These are really traumatizing images.
Absolutely. I'd wake up with the song The Road to Gundagai in my head. Now, I'm going to sing you a couple of lines if I remember it, as long as Spotify doesn't try and charge us. There's a track winding back to an old country shack along the road to Gundagai, where my mommy and daddy were waiting for me. Well, I don't know the whole song. Sounds like I do, but I don't.
Isn't this dog on the tucker box? Gundagai.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. You looked at me blankly.
It had something to do with my nana. I think she had some kind of connection to Gundagai.
Oh, we're rude, Nana.
Yeah, hooroo, Nana. Road to Gundagai in my head. Right. Eventually, I told my mum and she phoned the police as well as Sam's mum, because obviously this girl's gone missing. No one knows where she is. Who my mum was good friends with. Sorry, I've just interrupted the flow there. I should have said, eventually I told my mum and she phoned the police as well as Sam's mum, who my mum was good friends with. The police got in touch, but I felt a bit embarrassed to say that I dreamed it all, so I didn't make any statements.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we talked about this in the last episode.
We did a bit,
right?
yeah.
Where you touched on the psychic detectives and one lady who went, this is probably why I thought of this. You talked about a lady who went and found a missing nurse.
Yes.
That had been murdered. She had told the police. They did take her seriously to the point where they took her statement, but they didn't go looking.
No.
So your lady in your story did, and she found the body. And then she was arrested for the murder.
Yes, not a great outcome for her.
Not good. So my friend X here chose not to even talk to the police, even though her mum felt that it was important enough to do so.
Yeah, fuck. What would you do? Would you tell the police?
Yes, I probably would. I don't know. I'd probably feel a bit stupid and say it all through. I don't know why I'm having these dreams. They're recurring. I'm having the same images each time. I just feel like I don't know if I believe in this, but I just want to say it to you.
In case.
Just in case.
I would be the same. I would be absolutely the same. All right, I want to hear the end of this story. Go for it.
I nearly had a heart attack when the news broke that they found her murdered. Oh. Televised photo of the crime scene were exactly as I saw in my dream. She had been murdered and stuffed in the boot of a car and abandoned at this property in Holbrook, which is on the road to Gundagai.
No. Oh, my God. Fuck.
She, just for a little bit of backstory, so it's not just this awful outcome, which is terrible, but she had been in an abusive relationship with her ex, who she had 2 young children with, and there had been drugs involved. But she had made a concerted effort to get herself out of a bad situation, so she left him and had taken her children. At one point, this man broke into her parents' house while they were away and stole things to pawn. Somehow, Sam found out and was understandably furious. She went round to his house and threatened to tell the police, so he murdered her while their 5-year-old daughter was nearby.
No, Jesus.
He killed her with a hammer, then slit her throat.
Fuck.
Which, if you remember, she had this image of the
red line across the throat.
With the debutante dress.
Jesus.
He has been jailed for life.
Good.
She wanted to say, in closing, that Sam was a tough, wonderful and outgoing woman, popular and immortal to her. It was hard to lose her, and I wish I'd been able to help her more. It happened so long ago, but it is still fresh in my memory. I had never paid attention to my dreams before this, but I certainly take them more seriously now.
I think you would. And that is terrifying. Because I'd like to know if X had any kind of psychic dreams before this. But
I asked her, she said no.
So this was just such a strong vision.
Yeah.
So look, what do you make of this? Because you are a little skeptical about things like this. Do you think that she did have some kind of precognitive dream, some kind of premonition?
All I can say, Michelle, is that I have actually had an experience like this myself.
Oh my God, I don't even know this about you. What the hell?
Well, I had a prophetic moment of my own when I went to collect my eldest son when he was younger from his father's house. So I went to collect him from my ex's house, which was a group house in Gypsy Hill, and they hadn't gotten back yet. So I was there to pick them up at the end of the weekend or something. There was a chap there, an Italian man who was their flatmate or was staying there or something at the time. So he let me in and we had a little chat while we waited for the boys to come home. Mm-hmm. And as I was talking to him, all of a sudden I had this flash in my head of a white bathroom covered in red blood.
What?
That's all it was. He wasn't in it, or maybe he was in it. I can't remember the actual image now, but I know at the time I was young. I was just about to turn 30. I remember because after that, my ex came to my 30th birthday party and pulled me to one side and said, because I told him about what I'd seen in my while I was sitting there, because I never really experienced that before. It was odd. And I told him and he said, no, that's right. A week later, he came to my birthday and said, sorry, I'm all over the shop. So anyway, my ex came to me and said that he had tried to commit suicide in the bathroom.
No.
And the flatmates found him like that in the bathroom, covered in blood. Mm-hmm. So it was a premonition.
Wow.
Haven't had anything like that since, really.
Well, that's intense. And, it's all really grim stuff. Like this poor woman getting these, psychic visions of her friend who had been murdered and you getting like a flash about this guy.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't connected to this man at all, whereas X was best friends with Sam. They lived together and they, had done things together. They were, soulmates, if you like, as friends. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, because, I've only ever had sort of one dream, really. Is it one dream? I probably had more, but I don't remember because I don't remember anything.
You have lots of dreams, Michelle.
I do. I do. I have big dreams.
I have a dream.
Big dreams. But no, I just had a dream once where I woke up and I remember dreaming this, but I actually remembered the dream because I don't know about you, but I don't really remember my dreams that much after I wake up. Sometimes have a few seconds of memory and then it's all gone. But I had dreamt that my sister was pregnant.
Oh.
Yes, and we have a time delay, obviously, between UK and Australia. So I called her and I said, listen, I know this is going to sound insane, but I had this really, really full-on dream about you last night and you were pregnant. And she said, okay, well, what did I have? And I said, no, you didn't have a baby. You were pregnant. And she was like, fuck, well, I actually went to the doctor today and I'm pregnant. And this was with her second and we were both like, fuck, a little bit freaked out. But yeah, it was true. It was really, really true. Wow.
That's like what happened in the last episode as well, because my friend Hazel, the clairvoyant real estate agent, also had a vision in the shower. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine was like a dream. But then, it did remind me actually of this this friend I have, and she's in the UK, and I don't know if she's got any psychic ability or not, but she told me this story of one day she realised she'd lost her wedding ring. And look, it was a wedding ring of her husband that had passed on, late husband, and she didn't realize immediately that she'd lost this ring, and she looked everywhere for it and was nowhere to be found, and she was gutted about this ring. And so she said to herself that night before she went to bed, I'm going to tell my brain to find this ring. And I
sometimes do that, Michelle.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, so she quieted her mind, like really cleared it out. And then she said to her brain, or I don't know, subconscious part of her mind, she just said to herself, please let me dream where this ring is. And then, she drifted off to sleep. And then the next morning she woke up with this really clear vision of where the ring was. And to her, it made no sense where this ring was because it was down a road. I mean, it was kind of like near the house, but it was down a road that she hadn't really walked down there in quite some time. But she thought, you know what, this vision was really strong. So she dreamed the exact spot. So she got up and went there to look. And like I said, this road was close to her house, so it wasn't, like somewhere insane. And she went to the spot and it wasn't there. And she was like, oh, fuck. And then she was like, no, do you know what? I really have such a strong feeling that it was here. And she got her hand and she moved a bit of dirt near the grass and there was the ring.
Oh, wow.
No, and she has no idea how it got there, no idea why, but she was so happy. And you know what? Like, I've tried to apply this to myself because you've just said that you do this, and I've tried it too ever since she told me that story. And because I'd lost 500 quid once in my house, and I was like trying to dream where it was, and I never found it. The money was gone. Yeah.
Well, it must still be in there, Michelle.
Well, if it is, it's burnt because it probably went in the storage if it had been in there. But and I've often thought, oh, okay, brain, tell me the lotto numbers. Never works. But yeah, I never found that money, so I need to get better at it.
Because that's forward. That is because you're asking about something that's going to happen, not about something that has happened, and is in all likelihood, if you've lost your ring, something will alert you to the fact that it's suddenly not on your hand anymore. I know this because it happened to me recently.
Yeah.
The diamond fell out of my engagement ring in a shop when we were allowed to go in shops. I think I must touch my ring quite frequently to feel the reassuring feel of that diamond in it. And I had put my hand on it and I felt the diamond was gone. Oh. And I thought, because that's happened to me before with my nana's diamond ring years ago and a different marriage. Never found that diamond.
There's a reason.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I thought my stomach just lurched. I thought I need to run out of this shop immediately, call my husband and bawl my eyes out. I'm so upset. But as I went because I was at the back of the shop, as I went to walk to the front of the shop, and I'd been in 2 shops before this one.
Yeah.
And it could have been in any of them or in the street outside. As I walked to the front, I thought, I'll just have a little look and see if it's there. I looked down. This diamond is tiny. It was this little thing shining on me on the floor. No. And I've got, as you know, I had the contact lenses in and my eyesight's not very good. I looked down and there it was. I picked it up. I went next door and it was a bloody jeweler's next door, which that was the mistake.
Well, that was
going to that bloody jeweler.
That was a drama.
Because they ruined it.
Yeah, they did. But obviously you had a sixth sense about this. But you were saying...
Well, I just remembered where it was.
Yeah.
I just calmed down for a second because I was ready to run out. My first reaction was to run out screaming and crying and call Paddy and cry down the phone. But instead I thought, no, hang on, it's a diamond. It's worth looking for it.
Of course.
Go back to the front of the store. If it's not there, retrace your steps, looking on the ground all the way. You just never know. And if you don't try, you'll kick yourself.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's amazing you found it. But I'm curious to know what you were saying earlier, that you have dreamed, gone to bed and thought about things. So
I think I must have read it in a magazine somewhere, which is how we used to get all our information back in the day.
Dolly.
I think, yeah. Ms. and Dolly. I must have heard somewhere that if you think about it or ask your subconscious to reveal the whereabouts of things that you've lost in the night or before you go to sleep, then they come to you. And I think it has actually worked.
Any examples?
No, I can't remember.
Okay. Well, there you go.
My pride, where did I leave that last night?
Oh, gosh. But, I remember that we had a false alarm in my family about this kind of thing because my dad was absolutely convinced. This is when I was a little tiny girl. He was convinced that he had seen a blue flash. And it was a vision that he and one of his best friends had died very, very, very recently. And he thought that it was a vision of his friend because he'd seen this blue flash. And for weeks he was going on about this blue flash. And I remember when he had said the night he'd seen it, I knew that it was me because I'd gotten up in the night and I had these blue Chong Sam style pajamas. And I'd gotten up and I'd seen my dad and I thought, oh, he's awake. I'm going to get in trouble if he sees me. And I zipped back up and he must have seen the blue flash of my pajamas. But he was convinced, really convinced that he'd seen this blue flash. And
you didn't tell him it was you?
I'm sure my mum did. I think I confessed in the end. But
okay.
But yeah, I mean, maybe she didn't. But yeah, I know that I was the blue flash. I should ask my sister about that. But in terms of dreams, have you ever dreamt about someone and then they've called the next day? Or
Yeah.
yeah, I have this all the time, actually.
And happens waking as well. Often
Yes.
I'll be thinking about someone and they'll ring.
Yes, this happens to me. I mean, it happened just the other day. I haven't talked to my friend Darvor for, God, months and months and months. And then I'd had this weird, I say weird dream. It wasn't a weird dream. It was just a dream where he appeared in it. You know, it wasn't anything strange. Literally the next day, he messaged me out of the blue. It's like, hey, Mags, long time. And I was like, oh, my God, I was just thinking about you. And so I do think there is something in this whole, you know, like maybe collective
Intuition.
Or is it this whole like collective consciousness, like you were saying about with the crosswords? Yeah. I don't know. But then I had a really vivid dream about my friend Joe. So I sent him a text. I was like, I had a really weird dream about you. Okay. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. So, you know, it doesn't always mean something, doesn't. I think. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, there you go. That's the little add-on then. Is that all we've got?
Well, I was going to say I did a little bit of research about people who have premonitions, because there was a point where I was watching this show called Air Crash Investigations, and I watched.
That sounds good.
It's what?
That sounds good.
It is, but it also makes you terrified to set foot on a plane. And
yeah.
And I came and I found a few stories about people who'd had premonitions that their plane was going to go down before they got on the plane.
That's terrifying. What would you do? Would you cancel?
Well, this is the thing. Like, what would you do? Because speaking of one, and he's like, anyone in Australia will know this guy. He's a veteran journalist called Mike Willisey. He was on Australian 60 Minutes for years. So anyway, he famously had a vision of his plane crashing when he was on location filming in Kenya. But he just needed to get wherever he was going. I don't know. So despite having this really, really strong urge not to get on the plane, he actually got on.
God.
And you know what? Plane crashed.
OMG.
It crashed and he survived. But apparently he was quoted as saying when the plane was going down, all he could think of was, I was right. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, because I think
That's your intuition again, isn't it? You don't ignore your intuition.
No.
Whether it's prophetic or whatever.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut. If it means you have to lose £1,600 for a flight to Australia. I mean, Australian flights are so long. It's 24 hours in the air. And if you're a nervous flyer, it doesn't bear thinking about while you're up there.
No. And even
for 24 hours, that anxiety will kill you alone.
Yeah. But then like I said, I watched, oh my God, like 6 series or whatever of this Air Crash Investigations. And it does make you nervous to get on a plane. Mm-hmm. And then I think, well, is it intuition or is it just me going, oh, it's going to go down? Like, I don't know. You don't know. And then another famous one was this guy from Blink-182, the drummer, right?
Okay.
Do you remember this? No.
I think I heard that his plane did crash, didn't
Yes.
it?
So Travis...
Is he the one with all the tattoos on his neck?
Yeah, I think so.
Face?
Travis...
That's very in vogue these days, isn't it? Facial and neck tattoos.
Oh, it's so ugly.
Please don't do that to your faces.
No, please.
I sound like an old fuddy-duddy.
Oh, everyone's beautiful just as they are. You don't need that tattoo. No, but Travis Barker. So yeah, like I said, drummer from Blink-182. He had a plane crash premonition before he got on a flight. So this was back in 2008, and he was in South Carolina. And before he got on the flight, which, by the way, was a Learjet. So that's how you do it when you're rich and famous. But anyway, apparently he had called his dad and said, "Listen, Dad, I have really bad feeling about this flight." But he got on it anyway. And
what did his dad tell him to do? Did his dad not say don't go?
I think he was on loads of drugs at the time. Son. And I think his dad probably went, "Oh, mate, you're on your meds. Like,
whatever.
Yeah, just get on the plane." But I don't know. So, Mr. Barker, if you didn't say that, sorry. But yeah, so he got on the plane and it went to take off, but it didn't even get past the runway. It crashed during takeoff, totally went up in flames. And sadly, 4 of the 6 people on the plane died. But Yeah, he survived. And
Oh no.
yeah, so he's on record.
I mean, not bad that he survived.
No,
It's great he survived, but shit.
I know, really, really shit. And then another plane crash premonition. So this one I dug up. Again, Carolina, but this time North Carolina. I don't know what the deal is about Carolinas. Anyway, so
Careful, Michelle.
I know. So there was this guy called Mike Fridley, and this was from a story I read in must be a North Carolina paper called Sun Sentinel. And he said he'd never had a premonition before about not doing something. But this premonition was super, super strong. But he ignored the premonition. So what happened was he was going on a fishing trip with his mate, Graham Wood, into the Everglades. And his mate, Graham, had a plane. So I guess it was a small plane and Graham was flying. So anyway, they went up in the plane over the Everglades and the engine cut out and they ended up crashing into the Everglades.
Into crocodile-infested waters.
Oh, God, I don't know if it was into waters, but I think it might have been more in sort of foresty part of the Everglades. And so what I find really interesting about the story is that when it happened, Mike, he said he didn't panic because he kind of knew it was going to happen. So he was super, super calm about it. And when he realized that the plane had crashed and that he could unstrap himself from the seat, he just was really calm about it all because he wasn't panicked because I think maybe mentally he'd already been preparing himself a little bit for it, and pulled his friend out of the plane before it caught on fire, walked a couple of kilometers with a broken ankle and a broken sternum away from the plane, carrying his friend on his shoulders. 24 hours went past. They finally were found, but his friend didn't make it.
Oh, Lord.
I know.
Oh, wow. What a story.
I know, but I find what I thought was really interesting is that mentally, part of him must have been prepared for this, and that's why he was so calm. So even though he didn't sort of do the thing where he didn't get on the plane, he didn't say to his mate, Graham, not getting on, mate, not going fishing. He got on the plane, but he knew. So, yeah, I think it's really quite full on. And also Titanic. Loads of people for months had been having psychic dreams about that ship going down.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
They did.
Tell me more.
Well, so look, I don't know too much about this, but, Titanic, massive ship, went down in 1912, which is, God, more than 100 years ago. And apparently, yes, people were reporting that they'd had psychic dreams before it went down about, it sinking. And, even though no one could stop the disaster, people knew it was going to happen. That's all I got on that. But really, I think it obviously has been documented that happened. So, this has been going on for
Patty had relatives on the Titanic.
Yeah, well,
my husband.
You had a piece of jewellery from the Titanic.
Well, I believe it travelled with them on the Titanic. Yeah, they got off at Cherbourg, so they were all right.
Right.
But apparently it was his grandmother or someone like that, or his aunt, who had written a letter from the Titanic and sent it somewhere to a relative. But apparently because they had been homeschooled, her writing wasn't great. Her spelling wasn't great for her age, like she was 7 or 9 or something. She was terribly embarrassed. She sent Paddy's mother years later to New York to bid on the letters and buy them at whatever cost.
Really?
New York? No, London, Sotheby's, London, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
Wow.
they had to stay in the family because the shame of this illiterate child's writing is so great.
No, she was only little. Oh, poor little thing. But yes, I mean, aside from the fact that I wish I could be more psychic in dreams. I would love to have that gift where I could either know something that's about to happen or kind of sort shit out for things that are currently happening. I would love that gift because I do think that dreams can be a warning about things that are going to happen. I do think that it is possible to have a premonition about future things because, and I know this might sound crazy, but a little bit going back to what Ben Green said about how can we possibly know everything, I do think that there is a possibility that there is collective consciousness, that there is, and if that if you kind of agree on that, or not even agree, but agree that it's a possibility, then maybe
Me, personally.
anyone, that if there is this idea of collective consciousness, then maybe you don't have to agree on this because this is a bit out there, but I was thinking it through.
Okay.
Then maybe time isn't linear, or maybe we're just living one version of our life, and maybe there are thousands of different versions that are ahead or behind, that are our present, our past. I don't know. I just feel like we can't cancel things out, and that maybe these dreams are a way of tapping into that collective consciousness. I don't know.
Or of lines crossing over each other.
Or it might just be bullshit. I really don't know. It's something I
don't know either.
I would like to give more thought to, but I just don't have the time.
Well, you know what? I'd like not to give that any thought to it whatsoever, because my head will explode if I think about that one too hard.
Oh, well, there you go. That's all I got.
Okay, well, that's it for today then.
Oh, well, lovely little extra droppings. Thanks, Geordie, for sharing your story.
It's my absolute pleasure. I'm glad to have got that one out there. And thank you to my writer-inner, Miss X, for sending that, because it was an extremely sensitive subject.
Oh, God, and really, really awful. I really feel for her, because I can imagine those visions stay with you, and they probably never fade. I think they would still be really fresh. But, oh, yes, thanks for your story, X. Sorry that happened to you.
So tune in next Wednesday, is it?
Yes, next Wednesday.
And a regular dropping of Eavesdroppin.
See you then.
Eavesdroppin'. Eavesdroppin'. Droppin'. Eavesdroppin'.
Droppin'.
Eavesdroppin'. Eavesdroppin'.
Droppin'.